Welcome to Shaggy Shane's Kansas City Chiefs 2017 Training Camp Preview. June 17th, 2017, Saturday night. I'm here with my good friend Nick Gillaspie, who knows his football, he knows his stats, he knows his predictions, and he knows what he's talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Nick Gillaspie. What's going on, Nick?
Thanks for having me, Shaggy.
Hey man, no problem. Glad to have you. Right now, if you go to Kansas City Chiefs website and you click on depth chart, it's not up. They got Jeremy Maclin as the number one wide receiver. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what Chiefs players to look for on the depth chart or on the roster that could make some surprises in training camp. 6 weeks training camp starts. 6 weeks we'll be breaking it down from St. Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Kansas City Chiefs finished 12-4 last season, AFC West champions. They had a bye. They lost in the playoffs. We're going to break down what's going to happen with the Kansas City Chiefs going into training camp. Nick, let's start with the defense first. Let's go with defensive line. How did the defense look last year?
Well, they were the 8th overall defense in the whole league. They were 9th in points allowed.
Let's look at the defensive line. Let's look at Benny Logan, the defensive tackle going into this season. He signed a 1-year contract with the Chiefs. He's going to be the man at defensive tackle. And on the side of him, on the defensive ends, on either side, you have Alan Bailey. Alan Bailey, and on the other side of him, you have Chris Jones, the second-round draft pick of the Chiefs last year. What do you think we should see from them in this 3-4 defense, and who do you like to challenge them when it comes to Bob Sutton? When it comes to Bob Sutton bringing in players off the bench to rotate, what do you expect to see from him?
Well, first with Benny Logan, the common thought on him is he's a lot better run defender. A lot better run defender will help our defense a little bit better than Poe did. Poe kind of seemed to hit his ceiling. That's why he's not on the team anymore. And just look for the Chris Jones to get better, and the rest of them, Nacho,
Nunez Roches,
and Alan Bailey will just kind of rotate, just like last season.
A lot of the experts are saying Tano Passanio, the Chiefs' second-round draft pick this year out of Villanova, they more look for him to succeed and grow in his second year. How much playing time is he reliable to? How much time do you think we'll see him?
I have my hopes up for him. He kind of like Chris Jones last year. People thought he was kind of raw, but he has the size. He will come in, I think, and succeed.
Right, and a lot of times you look at how Bob Sutton has worked a lot of players. Like even when he had Jay Howard, Alan Bailey, there was a serious rotation. You know, a lot of players we would just see, they would surprise us. There would be bodies that would just come in, like Mike DeVito. He was here for a couple years. He got hurt. It was a rotation. And when the Chiefs take the nose tackle out, they run different formations. Sometimes you'll see Chris Jones as the defensive tackle mixed in with some ends to play alongside of. Now look at the outside linebackers. Did you have a point on that?
Alan Bailey is going to be huge. He got hurt, October?
Alan Bailey got hurt, I believe, the 6th game of the season last year.
Yeah, he's basically an incoming free agent. Our run defense will be better. Alan Bailey is going to stay a monster as he always is whenever he's playing.
Right. Yeah. He was missed last year, but it expedited the growth process of Rakeem. I keep saying Dominic. Rakeem Nunez Roches, number 99.
Nacho.
Yeah, they call him Nacho. They say he'll come in and he'll be solid alongside in that rotation that I mentioned with Bob Sutton. Now let's go to outside linebackers. We had D4, Justin Houston, Tom Bahali, and other players we want to look forward to grow in the depth chart with them. Who were you talking about? Sam Ford, is that a player that you were talking about out of San Francisco, the 49ers? Or what was his name?
Marcus Rush.
Marcus Rush.
He was a pass rushing specialist in a preseason last season with the 49ers. Got 4 or 5 sacks in preseason, and he just never kind of came to fruition after that. So we'll see what Bob Sutton can do with him.
It sucked to lose Daddy Nicholas the last game of the season in San Diego, where he tore his patella tendon on a kickoff. I wanted him to push out Frank Zombo, who is another player on the outside linebacker that I have yet to mention.
Yeah, I don't know why he's on the roster anymore.
Right. It's just Zombo if somebody goes out, Zombo's the first guy they go to. Daddy Nicholas going into his second season, I felt would probably be able to push Zombo off the roster But Daddy Nicholas, as I mentioned, is hurt, and in OTA camp this week, Andy Reid said he doesn't expect Daddy Nicholas to be ready for training camp, and he also said offensive guard Parky Ehringer wouldn't be ready at training camp. We'll talk about that when we get to the offense. But it sucked that Daddy Nicholas won't be ready, so right now we have D Ford, Tom Bahali, Justin Houston. What's the guy's name for the 49ers again?
Marcus Rush.
Marcus Rush, Frank Zombo right now as your 5 basic guys you'll be looking for as the offensive line at the outside linebacker. Now we look at safeties. The Chiefs this year extended Daniel Sorensen's contract. They have Ron Parker, Eric Berry, and
Love that position.
And we added safety Marquestin Huff, a 4-year player with Baltimore and Tennessee that's going to be added to the roster. He's going to be number 25, so if you wear your Jamal Charles jerseys, you're going to see in camp safety by the name of Marquestin Huff, who's going to be added to that safety rotation. You know, Nick, Bob Sutton has always ran a man defense. He blitzes his safety sometimes, but Bob Sutton does not mix it up. 2 years ago, he moved Eric Berry back from strong safety to free safety. He was a Pro Bowler at both positions. So your strong safeties are going to be Ron Parker and Sorensen. Sorensen's going to be your safety out on the field playing alongside of middle linebacker Derek Johnson when opposing offenses spread. So I like Sorensen in that position next to Derek Johnson. I like the fact that Ron Parker can play both corner and safety, and Sorensen in that linebacker position. Now, our free safeties and our strong safety, our entire safety is set. Now with corners, let's go to corners. We have Marcus Peters, Terrence Mitchell, Steve Nelson, Eric Murray. What do you want to see from them, and who do you see challenging them or coming in on the roster to play alongside them?
I think we can look for Terrence Mitchell to continue to get confident, to get better. It seems that confidence and swagger is kind of his thing at corner. That's why he's played so good. I'll look for him to get the number 2 spot.
Yeah, he definitely came on strong. The Chiefs struggled at second corner last year. Phillip Gaines was terrible. I didn't even mention his name. He's still on the roster. I don't know if he'll make the team. That's my prediction. He could make the team. DJ White, he's on the roster as well. Going into his second year. He showed some promise against the Jets, but Ben Roethlisberger schooled him the next week on Sunday night in primetime at Pittsburgh. It took a whole slew of Phillip Gaines and DJ White falling on their faces before the Chiefs picked up Terrence Mitchell off the scrap heap to be successful as the opposite corner. We only hope and pray that the Chiefs, with Terrence Mitchell and the rest of this defensive secondary, can come in and play solid. Steve Nelson was an adequate nickelback. He made some plays, but it was his first year as basically the nickel guy. And let's face it, folks, in 2017, what you're going to see is opposing offenses spreading out defenses. So you're going to see a lot of Steven Nelson. You're going to see a lot of Aaron Murray, who was a draft pick of the Chiefs last year, grow. And we're going to see how they play in training camp, because in training camp and in preseason you see expanded rosters. You see sometimes in years past the Chiefs have had 93 players on their team that they had to break down and evaluate and see throughout the month of August. So we're not right now, the roster is somewhere between 80 and 85. So there's going to be a lot of players that you're going to see, some even with the same numbers. In years past you'll see 2 players number 24, or you'll see 2 players number 42. It's odd. Some will want to be on offense and one on defense, but it's just how they break it down. And Nick, a lot of things that Bob Sutton has been, a lot of knock on Bob Sutton is he hasn't been mixing it up. But in the playoff game last year against the Pittsburgh Steelers, we saw Bob Sutton mix it up. The Chiefs were leading the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first quarter 7-3. They just went down on an awesome drive. The Pittsburgh Steelers were facing 3rd and 8 at their own 22-yard line when Ben Roethlisberger dropped back to pass. Tom Bahali barely missed him for the sack. Ben Roethlisberger stepped up and chucked a big long pass, 68-yard downfield to the Steelers wide receiver. What's his name? He's on the tip of my tongue. He's one of the greatest Steelers receivers. Antonio Brown. Do you believe?
Brown, right.
He was and Justin Houston was in coverage. When the ball was in the air, I said, oh no. Justin Houston had pretty good coverage on Antonio Brown, but it was 68 yards down the field. Bob Sutton, you don't want your prime pass rushing stud outside linebacker 68 yards down the field covering a stud wide receiver.
He needs to be rushing the passer.
He needs to be rushing the passer, and I want you to I want to know your how you feel about this, Nick, because with the game on the line, let me go back to it. With the game on the line, the Chiefs trailing 18-16. 2 minutes left in the game. The season on the freaking line for the Chiefs. It's 3rd and 4. The Steelers got the ball at the Chiefs at their own 11-yard line. The Chiefs got to get them off the field, punt it to Tyreek Hill. We can get in field goal position and win and advance the AFC Championship game. Shotgun situation. Snap to Ben Roethlisberger. Antonio Brown runs a 7-yard slant with Justin Houston covering him. Like I said, the knock on Bob Sutton is he doesn't mix it up. He tried too hard to mix it up in the most important game of the season, the divisional round of the playoffs. What in your opinion, Nick, what is it going to take for Justin Houston for Bob Sutton to be successful in this defense going into this year? Should he keep it simple, or should he keep trying to mix it up?
No, he's got to mix it up. You got to generate a pass rush. You cannot rely on 2 guys, and then your best guy, you're sending him out in coverage. It's D Ford and Justin Houston. Those 2 guys are so important for the whole defense, and Justin Houston's healthy this season. That's going to change things too.
Right. Justin Houston's got to be solid, but continue your point.
He has to do a better job at generating a pass rush. I haven't looked at it, but he just doesn't seem to blitz. He doesn't seem to move Justin Houston, D Ford, whoever's in outside linebacker. Bob Sutton he needs to mix it up. He needs to generate that pass rush.
All right. Let's look at some stats and facts here, ladies and gentlemen. The Kansas City Chiefs last year. What were the Chiefs last year in defense?
They were 8th overall in total defense, total team defense.
And what were they in yards allowed?
9th overall with just under 6,000 yards total for the whole season.
And what concerns me, Nick, the Chiefs' 3rd down defense. What was the Chiefs' 3rd down defense last year?
They were 28th.
28th.
Worse than the league.
Wow, which is totally odd because we were number 1 in turnovers, correct?
Yes, tied for 1st.
Okay, with that being said, we're tied for 1st. What concerned me is that the Chiefs gave up. And what were we in against the run?
We were 5th in rushing touchdowns and 15th in rush yards allowed. Right.
The Chiefs have to Chiefs without a doubt have to generate a way to stop the run and overall to going forward. And with Derek Johnson, Andy Reid says he'll be ready, and Derek Johnson himself says he'll be ready, which is surprising coming off his second severe injury of that manner. What do you think? What do you think we could see to stop the run this year? What do you want to see, or what do you think ways that would be able to Chiefs be successful at stopping the run?
Oh, Derek Johnson. Hopefully he can come back and stay healthy. Nose tackle. The nose tackle position is so important for the run defense in our particular scheme. Benny Logan needs to keep doing what he did in Philly. Alan Bailey. He's going to be huge when he comes back. We just need him. That rush defense needs to stick together. It needs to play together. It's the do your job.
Eric Berry has been a stud. He was a stud run stuffer at strong safety. They moved him into free safety where he can play center field. He can read all plays, and he's freaking great at both. But sometimes they don't mix it up as much. He'll run to shoot a gap to stop a run sometimes if necessary. I myself would like to see more of that, but then again, he's got to read the defense and play center field as a free safety. So hindsight's always 20/20. What do you want to expose? If Barry is shooting the gap, if it's a play action, who's going to be on the back to help cover that in the secondary? What other important stats do you feel from 2016 going into 2017 that the Chiefs need to work on?
Need to work on sacks. Sacks is very important. The defense, Marcus Peters, Eric Berry, pulled the entire team, put the entire team on their back twice for sure, multiple times that will go unnoticed with important turnovers that literally won the game. Sacks. The defense, our playmakers shouldn't have to be, in attack mode.
Right.
Have to go out there and make a play. You want it, but we can't rely on that stuff.
Right. And last year the Chiefs were the #1 red zone defense. They were the #1 red zone defense, forcing turnovers and holding teams to field goals. That is why before the playoff game I said the Steelers are going to kick 6 field goals and the Chiefs will win 34-26. I didn't know literally that would be all the points the Steelers would get, so I wasn't a genius on making that prediction, and I just thought to myself, okay, the Chiefs are playing bend but don't break. They'll probably give up 6 field goals and a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, but little did I know that I was closer than I thought. All right, let's go to the offense. The offense. Let's look at that offensive line.
You're going to put me to sleep here talking about the offense.
Let's hope we don't go to sleep. Eric Fisher, the left tackle, he's got the position set. Left guard, here's where we got the issue. Parker Ehringer is a starter, but he's hurt. So you got Zach Fulton playing left guard. He's the starter going into camp right now. Center, Mitch Morse got his job. Right guard, the Chiefs just gave a massive 5-year extension to Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, everybody's favorite Canadian. And at right tackle, Mitchell Schwartz. That's the offensive line. But as I alluded to earlier, Andy Reid said Parker Ehringer will not be ready for training camp. That's not good. That's not good because of the fact that when Parker Ehringer was in last year, our running game was solid. Our running game struggled quite a bit once Zach Fulton became the left guard. That is not a knock on Zach Fulton. I feel Zach Fulton should be on this team because the last 9 games of the 2015 season, remember the Kansas City Chiefs had just started what would eventually be their 11-game winning streak through the playoffs until they faced New England. Zach Fulton was a center due to Mitch Morse being injured. So Zach Fulton is important to be on this team. Zach Fulton can look at this team, look at himself and say, how did I do as a guard? Not very good for the last 9 games of last year. Zach Fulton can say, how did I do as a center the year before, the last 8 games of the season? I did pretty good. So Andy Reid knows that. He's going to take that into consideration. I see Zach Fulton making this team because of the fact he is a backup center. What do you want to see at guard, and who do you see challenging maybe Zach Fulton or a roster spot at that position?
Fulton, to me, he's an excellent guy to have on your roster. He's young. He's played, as you alluded to, he's played all the positions aside from tackle. He's a great backup, great depth guy. We need the starters to keep on playing together. Continuity. Most of the good offensive linemen or offensive lines throughout the league have played together, and those are the good offensive lines.
Right. There's going to be there's going to be some players. You're going to see a whole slew of players in camp at different positions of backups trying to make this roster that you're going to want to look out for as you watch closely during training camp. All right, let's look at tight end. Travis Kelce. Ross Travis, I do believe his name. Let me get... What are the other tight ends on the team?
We picked up this guy from Dallas.
Escobar.
Gavin Escobar.
I
can't forget about Demetrius Harris that they seem to want to force the ball to randomly.
They got Orson Charles.
Orson Charles.
Yes, the tight end. Just reading these obscure tight ends on the roster as we stand right now. Emmanuel Byrd, rookie out of Marshall. Orson Charles, 3 years out of Georgia. We have what's going to happen with Johnson? He got busted with that weed. What do you see happening with him? That tight end, number 84, that got busted with the weed a couple months ago.
Harris.
Sorry about that.
I think he's going to stay on the roster.
Yeah, but how many?
But I think look for Escobar to probably eventually overtake his position.
Yeah, Demetrius Harris.
Yeah.
And
it'll be it'll be Kelsey, Escobar, and Harris, and
You see Harris staying on the team? What about that? All that weed he was busted for? Does that concern you? Because it was a bunch of weed. It wasn't just like a bag.
oh, you know how that is anymore in the league. They don't really care.
What about Ross Travis, number 88? Everybody's Tony Gonzalez jersey.
You know, they did like him. They did like him. They were trying to get him the ball last year.
Right. He dressed over DeAnthony Thomas when it came down to dressing players on the final cut down day. They went from do we want to dress DeAnthony Thomas or Ross Travis? DeAnthony Thomas or Ross Travis? They ended up sticking with DeAnthony Thomas when it comes to, because they only dressed 47.
Yeah.
So Ross Travis was dressed, and he was even in some plays quite a bit throughout, like I said, the better part. But the last half he didn't dress as much. So the tight end on the Kansas City Chiefs roster is thick. Look for them to compete in training camp. It's going to be fun. But like you said, I like the top 2 picks of the number 1 and 2 on the depth chart. Tony Gonzalez,
Kelsey and
Escobar. Thank you. Now let's go to the wide receiver. Wow, a lot of things been going on at wide receiver. Last year, the Chiefs drafted in the 5th round Tyreek Hill. There was a lot of questions about what happened to him in college. Now, going into camp, Tyreek Hill is your number 1 wide receiver with Chris Conley and Albert Wilson. Expand on the wide receiving roster of this team, Nick. What do you think?
I'm nervous about it because Tyreek Hill's going to move into that number 1 spot, and you can't necessarily do all these gadget plays, these jet sweeps and these reverses with your number 1 wide receiver. It just doesn't work out.
Right.
And the defenses are going to be focusing more on him. I really like Chris Conley. I don't understand why they're not giving him the opportunity to be the number 1. It's a mess really after that. Albert Wilson, we like him so much, but he just doesn't come to fruition yet.
Right. Demarcus Robinson's making.
Demarcus Robinson.
He's really turned a lot of heads. DeAnthony Thomas is kind of like a missing link as well. You could put him in there, and he can.
He's
another gadget guy.
He's such a decoy.
Right.
They just use DeAnthony Thomas as a decoy, and we just.
And they used him as a decoy spectacularly on the opening drive in the playoff game where the Chiefs got the ball and they ran like a triangle set where they had 3 people in the backfield, and the Chiefs ran a lot of, because Alex Smith is a quarterback, they ran a lot of gadgets. They were able to take the opposing defensive safety of the Steelers and create mismatch problems, and the Chiefs used that look out of the triangle set with Tyreek Hill, DeAnthony Thomas, and Spencer or Charkandrick West in the backfield. They used that driving down the field, and even on the touchdown pass to Albert Wilson on that opening drive, but they never went back to it. They tried to play basic offense after that. Mm-hmm. But to my point, DeAnthony Thomas was in a lot of those gadget offenses as well as Tyreek Hill. So I think with Alex Smith as the quarterback, you're going to continue to see this season in 2017, you're going to continue to see Tyreek Hill, DeAnthony Thomas try to create trick plays. Well, I don't want to say trick plays, but plays where they don't know who's going to get the ball, where Alex Smith will fake a handoff to Tyreek Hill, and DeAnthony Thomas will be running down the seam to catch a 15-yard pass.
So you think that Thomas is going to be on our regular season roster?
Who?
DeAnthony Thomas?
Yeah, I think DeAnthony Thomas. What do you think? You think he'll make the roster?
I wish he wouldn't, but I think he's going to be. I just don't believe that one of your roster spots should go to a decoy, and that's what he is. He's a decoy. That's
a fair assessment, Nick, and I understand that. But I think with Alex Smith as a quarterback, you have to create a situation where the safety's moving left to right. You have to keep him guessing where is the ball going to go, because Alex Smith isn't going to throw it deep to challenge the safety. He's going to make you run mismatches, and what that happens is you want safeties and linebackers thinking the play is going this way to the left, but it's really going to the right. That's, in my opinion, I understand and respect what you have to say. You're going to need somebody who can make plays under these circumstances alone. I like Demarcus Robinson. I like how He's looking really good in OTAs. Another player that's looking good in OTAs, look for in training camp, is a gentleman, number 81, named Shaggy Jones. He's 6'3", 200 pounds, got big hands. He's played on practice squad with the Saints and the Eagles last couple of years. He's been looking really, really good. So look for number 81, Shaggy Jones, 6 weeks from today when training camp begins. And another wide receiver named Tevin Jones. He's played with let me see here.
He's our replacement for Jeremy Macklin.
Yes, Tevin Jones
Signed him
is.
just after we cut Jeremy Macklin.
Right. He's been on the Texans squad, running back and forth with them. He's 6'2", 225. So look for him in training camp, number 6. What else do you want to add to the wide receivers, Nick?
It's a mess. I'm nervous. Alex, throw the ball down the field.
Right. And, the Chiefs did free up $10 million 2 weeks ago yesterday with the release of Jeremy Macklin. What's your take on that?
I don't agree with it. He say what you want about his drop in production, but last year just was an aberration for Jeremy Macklin, and I don't think it's fair to go off his production. He did have a hefty cap hit, but so does Tomba, and among other players. He was the veteran presence, a leader in the locker room. But we'll see. And as you know, with Reed's offense, they really don't even throw the ball to the wide receiver anyways.
And with Alex Smith as a quarterback, correct?
Yeah, and we did just fine when we were 12-4, but the offense still sucked.
Right.
So it's a mess. Put Tyreek Hill over here and just jumble the rest of them up, and just who knows?
Right. I myself, in my opinion, I didn't mind the release of Jeremy Macklin just because he did the cap hit that he caused with the amount of receptions and basic production he was getting. It didn't warrant that contract.
Yeah,
It just didn't.
I'm okay with it, but cautiously afraid, I guess.
Right. I understand. People said Alex Smith in 2014 didn't have any weapons. That's why he couldn't throw one touchdown pass to a wide receiver. I think it comes down to the quarterback, but
it does.
It does.
It does.
All right, and let's look at stats. What was the Chiefs' rushing offense last year? Before we get to the running backs.
Oh man, their rushing offense.
Where did they rank? Where were they at?
They were 19th in passing offense.
Okay, in rushing.
They were 26th in rushing offense.
26 in rushing offense.
Yes.
Wow, that goes to show how
dreadful.
That goes to show how important it is to have Parker Ehringer back. Now we're going to move. With that being said, let's get to the running backs. The running backs on the team: Spencer Ware, Charkandrick West, and everybody's favorite third-round draft pick out of Toledo, Kareem Hunt. Nick, you've been championing this guy for quite a while. What is it you like about Kareem Hunt, and what will he bring to the Kansas City Chiefs in the 2017 season, his rookie campaign?
He's an NFL running back. He has amazing vision and just even better balance. Those are two, and he had good shuttle time, but vision and balance are so crucial for an NFL running back. Just get excited about him. He's going to come in and make an impact right away.
Right.
Right away. And Spencer Ware, I believe, sooner rather than later, Ware will start out as the starter, I believe. But Ware is better in that secondary role,
right,
than a starter. So he will return back to that role. Look for Hunt and Ware to carry this team.
Right. I think Charkandrick West is.
It's tough to say what's going to happen with him.
If I had to predict, I predict he won't make the team unless somebody's injured. He was an awesome success story, coming with the team, but he really. We all got to go by what we saw last. And in the football playoff game in last year, where the Chiefs were trying to score some points and get into field goal range before halftime, Alex Smith dumped him off a pass, which he's good at, and Charkandrick West went running, and with nobody touching him, he just dropped the ball. Fumbled the football. The Steelers got it. Thank God there was only like 5 seconds left before halftime because the Steelers didn't have time to do anything. But you can't fumble the ball in the preseason, especially when nobody touches you. Come on, Charkandrick. Or anyway, I like the assessment of Kareem Hunt and Spencer Ware carrying this team. Now let's get to everybody's favorite talk, the quarterback position. 2017 quarterbacks on the roster. Well, let's get to the top 3. Alex Smith, Tyler Bray, Patrick Mahomes. That's you're gonna see day 1 in training camp as you're going into camp. What do you want to see? Everybody knows. Let me just say this first. Alex Smith is going in to, he's got 2 years left on his contract, this year and next year. If Alex Smith is on the Kansas City Chiefs roster in 2018, the Chiefs have to give him $17.5 million for next year alone. If Alex Smith is on the roster next year, he's getting a $17.5 million for 2018 alone. With that being said, this is the final ride for Alex Smith. This is it. No more looking back. What do you want to see from Alex Smith this season, Nick?
Throw the ball down the field. Take some risks. That first game in San Diego, he brought us back. We wouldn't have won that game without him.
Right.
And the rest of the season, he just kind of
mediocre.
Just kind of laid down.
Right. 15 touchdowns. He threw 15 touchdowns. He was in the Pro Bowl last year only because every other quarterback didn't want to play, and like Tom Brady didn't want to play, and there was other significant injuries. What were the Chiefs last year at passing?
Passing?
Yes. What were the Chiefs?
We were 19th.
Passing.
19th.
And what's that stat there? 3,740.
3,740 yards
passing
in the entire season, and that is with Alex Smith missing
2 games and Nick
basically
Foles.
2 games.
Right.
And we're at 233 yards per game in a passing league.
Right.
That's terrible.
That's not going to cut it. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, that's why the Chiefs were so bold in making the move on draft day. That's why the Chiefs, they knew, hey, Alex Smith is going to be on this roster next year. We're going to have to give him alone $17.5 million. That's why the Chiefs watched it so closely. And here's what I want to get to, Nick. As we were wiping away our tears of playoff losses last year, and before I watched the Combine, I wanted Deshaun Watson. I wanted the Chiefs to do whatever it took to get Deshaun Watson as the Chiefs quarterback. You alone said, hey, I want Patrick Mahomes. I said, what? You said, hey, watch Patrick Mahomes. I said, well, I'm going to watch the Combines, and I'm going to watch past the draft every day for 10 weeks. So I will take him. But I do not see myself straying from the want of Deshaun Watson. I did my due diligence. I watched past the draft every day for 10 weeks. I watched the Combines. Nick, what did you see from Patrick Mahomes in early February before the Combines that made you say, Shaggy, watch out for Patrick Mahomes? What did you like from him?
Confidence. He has a swagger about him on the field when he's running to his right, running to his left, and he reaches across, and it's not natural, some of the things that he does. He'll throw the ball across his body 80 yards down the field, 60 yards down the field. It's rare, and he has confidence, and he's a rare talent. He doesn't look like any quarterback that has came out in a long time. He's very raw. He has to fix his mechanics, his footwork. Some of those crazy throws that he made will get picked in the NFL because defensive backs are smarter.
Right.
But that said, he's a rare talent. And Deshaun Watson, with all due respect to Deshaun Watson, he's to me, he's Alex Smith.
Right.
He's a little bit more athletic, but the comparison to him was Alex Smith, and that's
right.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, and I like Deshaun Watson beating Alabama, and I mean he played him 2 years in a row in the national championship game. He beat him the last time. But when I watched the Combines, and I watched NFL's Network's Pat the Draft every day, and I watched Patrick Mahomes' Pro Day, and knowing that Andy Reid worked with Brett Favre and Donovan McNabb and brought them two up to their caliber of play, I couldn't help but start fantasizing about what Andy Reid could do for Patrick Mahomes. Because Mahomes, oh my God, the sky's the limit for him. I mean, he's just got that freaking $1 million arm, and Chiefs fans, we don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
We haven't seen anybody with a freaking $1 million arm, but love the fact we drafted him. Love the fact the Chiefs traded up 17 spots to get him. Love everything about him. How long do you think it would be? How long do you think it would be before he beats out Tyler Bray for the second string position?
At some point in preseason.
Right.
He's better than Tyler Bray, and they're just, it's just part of a young player. He's behind Tyler Bray for now because Bray knows the offense, but Mahomes will be that number 2 quarterback at the beginning of the regular season.
All right. Well, that's we got positions so far. What I want to talk about is special teams.
Special team.
Who do you see challenging Cairo Santos in camp? There's nobody on the roster. You think we'll bring in anybody?
I do not. I think he's our field goal kicker. He's a good field goal kicker too.
Right. I want to say this, ladies and gentlemen. There's another punter on the roster. He was on the Steelers last year. He was with them in preseason. His name is Will Monday, number 1. I love Dustin Colquitt. He's a really cool guy. Many of you who watch me with Warpaint Illustrated, you saw my one-on-one interview with him before they went to training camp in 2009. Dustin Colquitt is Kansas City. Dustin Colquitt is an awesome guy, beautiful guy. His family's here. He's got 6 kids. He raised them all here. Everything about Dustin Colquitt is first class. But don't be surprised if he is cut in training camp or preseason due to the fact he is the highest paid punter in the National Football League. And if John Dorsey is going to be getting rid of Jeremy Maclin in the first week of June, don't be shocked if Will Monday is your punter in the 2017 season because the Kansas City Chiefs want to save that money. When the Chiefs signed Cairo Santos to challenge Ryan Suckup in the 2014 training camp, I thought Cairo Santos ain't going to make the team. We got all this money in Suckup. Well, I went to training camp. And there's 2 fields on training camp for those that haven't been to training camp. There's one field where everybody practices. All 80 people are running up and down the field. And there's other field where individuals work out. Well, I spent all day up there and Ryan Suckup was by himself while Cairo Santos was with the team and the special teams working out with Dustin Colquitt. I thought, man, this isn't a good sign. I don't think Suckup's going to make the team. Well, when it came down to cut down time, Cairo Santos was your kicker, and Ryan Suckup was cut. The Chiefs cut Suckup because they wanted to save money, and they felt that Cairo Santos could come in. Am I predicting Dustin Colquitt to be cut? No. Will I be surprised if he's cut? No. But it could happen. So we're going to have to pay attention to that in training camp in 6 weeks. How much time is Will Monday getting with the special team, punting the football? How much time going forward will we see of Dustin Colquitt with the team? We don't know. We still have to look at it. All right. With that being said, Nick, I want to wrap up some things here with you before we say goodbye to our viewers. You are always confident, Nick, about your feelings for Andy Reid. And what we've disagreed about, I have always said, even though Andy Reid does some bonehead things, we could have a 2-hour show on Andy Reid's bonehead moves. I feel Andy Reid has always had quarterbacks come in, play well. Donovan McNabb came in and played well. A.J. Feely was a 5th-round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles out of Oregon in 2001. He didn't get to play until the end of his rookie season when Donovan McNabb came in. He threw 2 touchdown passes his rookie season and won the game 17-13. In 2002, with the Eagles had an 8-3 record. A.J. Feely was forced to come in and play, and the Eagles won 4 straight games. At the end of that season, A.J. Feely was traded to Miami for a 2nd-round draft pick. He came in and played well. In 2007, the Eagles drafted Kevin Kolb out of Houston. He came in and he played. He didn't get to play until 2009, but when he came in, he was the NFC Offensive Player of the Week twice. He was ended up. They named him as their starter. They traded McNabb before the 2010 season, and Kevin Kolb became the starter in 2010 with the Eagles. But first game of the season, he got knocked out. So he's unconscious. Well, Michael Vick was a backup. He came in and took over. But with the success that Kevin Kolb had, he was traded to Arizona following the 2010 season for a second-round pick in Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. I'm going to give you your time, Nick. I want you to tell everybody what it is you don't like. But I want to say this. In my opinion, Andy Reid is able to come in and make quarterbacks play great. Alex Smith's a different story. I'm sorry. But we're going about just the Eagles. Now, I know you've watched a lot of Eagles play. You are an Eagles fan, and you know your stuff. You know your football. In 2014, you told me yourself, you said Colin Kaepernick isn't going to grow in the 49ers offense anymore. I said, Nick, you're crazy. Colin Kaepernick's freaking a stud quarterback. You said, opposing defensive coordinators, they're picking Colin Kaepernick apart. So with that being said, I know you know what you're talking about. I know I'm not calling you out for your animosity for Andy Reid. But with that being said, what Andy Reid has done for Brett Favre, what he has done for Donovan McNabb, what he's done to make these quarterbacks, these obscure quarterbacks, and get second-round draft picks in return for these guys that I've mentioned, what is it that you specifically don't like about him? The mic's yours. Take it.
His decision making on Sundays. I'm not going to argue. I think it's overrated. His developing of quarterbacks. I mean, because Brett Favre
with his development of quarterbacks. With that said,
Brett Favre won a Super Bowl before Reid became his position coach. Donovan McNabb was drafted second overall, I believe.
Right.
A bona fide star already.
Right.
And the AJ Philly and the Kevin Kolb, he did just like Alex Smith with Alex Smith. He made them manage the game just enough to help them win. But as I said, his decision making on Sundays is the big red flag for me. He just goes the wrong way in big spots. It doesn't have to be at the end of the game. It's at that crucial 3rd and 1 at the end of the first half. 3rd and short. He just traditionally it's a given that he's going to call the wrong play. And sure, the players have to execute, but he doesn't necessarily do a good job at helping the team. That's what it is. Decision making on Sundays.
Be honest with me. I am thrilled. I hope we got Andy Reid for at least 2 more years. I think he's had the liposuction surgery or the lap band or whatever it's called. So Andy Reid is trying to get himself physically healthy. But Andy Reid himself is 6'5", 350 or 360 pounds. He's going to be 60 next year. So you don't know how much time Andy Reid is going to be coaching the team. But I hope he's our head coach for at least 2 years, because I feel that he can tutor and mentor Patrick Mahomes. That's what I want until we get somebody else. Are you comfortable with Andy Reid tutoring and mentoring Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I am. Kind of reluctantly, because his decision making is just, I can go on for days. You said hours, but I can go on for days about that. But he drafted Mahomes, and it's good for your young quarterback
Right.
to have that continuity with a coach
Right.
for X amount of years. I'd like to see him stick around for more than a couple years.
Yeah,
probably another 4 years. I don't see. He's not anywhere near the mindset of retiring. You can tell.
Are you concerned about Andy Reid's health at all, being 60, being 6'5", 360 pounds? I mean, you think the lap band will help?
He's been toting that weight around for some time now. I
don't mean to be. I'm not trying to be.
It's valid, but
Right. I mean, you see head coaches, they're always young. It's monkey. Man,
Yeah.
what I hope, it's my fantasy here, if Andy Reid leaves to get Gruden. I don't think you're a Gruden fan, are you?
I think the league has passed Gruden by.
All right. That very well could be the case.
Yeah.
But I want Mahomes, who's going to be our quarterback a long time. Patrick Mahomes is going to be 22 years old in September. He's going to be our franchise for 12 to 14 years, starting 2018. And we'll break down 2018 in 12 months. But he's going to need to have good coaching going on throughout his entire career.
You know, with Andy Reid, like I said, the continuity is great for your young quarterback. But my hope is that you know, Mahomes is comfortable with Reed, but the talent, Mahomes' talent will trump Reed's awful decision making and boneheaded play calling.
Don't hold back.
Alex Smith can't do that. He doesn't have the talent to trump Reed's decision making.
Right. You're right. I mean, there's a lot of times maybe maybe we're too hard on Alex Smith, but
he's a big part of it.
Right.
He's yeah. It's like it's Alex Smith's the main problem, but Reed is right there.
Right. Let's hope that they can square out that now that Brad Childress is going to have a more active role, and Matt Nagy, the quarterback coach,
supposedly offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but we know Andy Reid calls the plays. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Shaggy Shane with Nick Gillaspie breaking down your training camp preview. Stick with me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Nick, thanks a lot, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, man, no problem. It's been a good time. Let's get up to St. Joe and see what's going on there in 6 weeks. Camp starts in 6 weeks. We'll be here to break it down. Follow me here. You know what's up, Chiefs fans. This is Shaggy Shane saying, until next time.
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. Awesome, dude.